Okay, I'm going to just give you a quick walk around of our systems that we've currently got set up to keep this sort of property and the garden running at the moment. And it all starts with the solar panels. So here are the first two solar panels I've set up, and this is enough to run the sort of small size system that I've currently got running. So the solar panels, it's just a temporary mount here on the side of the building. And the cables run up, very simply up and through the eaves into the little room we have above the garage here. So inside is where the power arrives from the two solar panels. I've got an 80 amp EP solar controller, which takes the inputs, the two inputs here from the solar panels into the controller. There's a cut-off switch here which will cut the panels off if I need to isolate those, and then out from the solar controller comes into the battery, which is in this box here. I've got it in a box because there is a temperature gauge here. So it just sort of holds the air still in this area, so perhaps the temperature gauge might be a little bit more accurate. The temperature gauge feeds back into the controller, and if the battery gets too hot, the controller will reduce the power going to it or stop the power. Coming out of the battery through isolators for each one, we've got, this is an isolator for the power coming out from the solar controller and into the battery, and then from the battery I've got power going to the inverter here, which changes from 12 volts or 13 volts as it's showing here up to 220 volts, so I can run 220 tools. I can use my tools. The other output I have is this one up to a 12 volt panel, which is what runs most of the things. This is running some things at the moment. I'll show you those. This is running a few other systems as well. So out of both the inverter that goes down below into the garage below, and the 12 volt system also runs down into the garage below. So we'll take a look down there. Got a bit of fire going today just to get rid of some of the undergrowth we've been trimming. So down below, this is directly below the solar controller system, is the panel for 12 volt electric. So this is 12 volts, comes into this switch unit here, and I've got, that's a water pump there. I'll explain that one in a minute. Another water pump here, and then lights and USB sockets and so on. I've got a little phone as a music player with a speaker. This is monitoring the state of the battery and the incoming and outgoing charge. So I don't know if you can see, but it's currently showing we're on 80%. And if we check the current, we're on 10 amps. We're taking out at the moment 10 amps. So we're taking power out of the battery. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so the sun isn't on the panels yet. It's a cloudy day, and I've got the electric bike plugged in, so it's drawing power at the moment. This is another monitor which just shows what's going on with the battery, the panels, and everything else, just to monitor what's happening. So let's see. Coming through the roof here is the 240 volts. Which is running at the moment our freezer. So this is on all the time, and it doesn't draw too much out of the battery. It's pretty good. And the other big thing I've got on currently, there's a couple of switches over here for powering power tools and so on, but I have the charger for the electric bike. So the electric bike is on charge at the moment. I arrived here today with perhaps 75% battery, and this will be charged in a couple of hours. So I'll show you what else is going on. The only thing we've got switched on at the moment is this water pump, which, this is a long cable which comes down here alongside this hose pipe. And this is our water collection area. I think This concrete pad was designed originally to collect water and flow it all into this tank. I think it also took the sort of slurry and waste from the barns down into the tank, but there's quite a big tank of water in here. So at the moment what I have is a little 12-volt pump, and that's what the cable's running, that's switched on. A submersible pump in the bottom of the water there, with a little filter to stop it pulling up any dirt, and then that's sucking up and pushing water up through the yellow hose pipe here, back into the garage. That just runs behind the lockers there, and it comes up this pipe here and is putting water just slowly and steadily filling these tanks up. So what I've got is 4 big blue tanks. They're 220 litres each. So I've got almost a cubic metre of water here, and I've got each tank connected with a siphon tube. So that's full of water, and each one has a connection, tank to tank, so that I can just fill one tank up, but the siphon tubes distribute the water across all 4 barrels. It saved me having to do any drilling and putting any holes in the barrels. I just use the siphon bridges to connect it, fill one tank up, and all 4 fill at the same time. I've got another siphon tube here, this clear tube, which runs down. It's just a sort of siphon out of there, full of water, down pretty low, and then it comes up the side of the second barrel. It's a bit dark in here, I know, but you can see here, this is my full measurement. This is my watering measurements for how much goes, and I can see here how full, because this siphon tube balances out with what's in this barrel, so I know exactly from here how full this barrel is without even having to look in it. So my pump's been running for about 20 minutes today, and it's filled up from 2 days of watering. We're back up to 1 day of watering. Another 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it'll be full again. So I keep these topped up, and I reckon these should do about 10 days of watering. The tanks would do 10 days of watering, and I've got the watering set, an automatic system, so I'll show you that next. Is it's this switch turns the outside pump on, which I'll show you, and show you how all that works. So the pump is switched on. I'll go back outside. And here, hidden away behind the solar panels, so everything we looked at is just literally on the other side of this wall here. So I have a 12-volt cable, which that switch, we just turned that on and made this pump live now, and then this siphons out again from the barrel into the pump, out of the pump, and into the water controller here. And then I have a hose pipe connected and the automatic water gardening watering system, and I've got it set to come on at 6. It says 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. each day, but I've set the timer differently. It's 10 a.m. but I've set the timer at 8 a.m. so it actually comes on at it's set automatically now with the 2-hour difference to come on at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. It's been off for the past couple of days because it's been pouring down, but you can manually turn it on. So if I just turn that to work, the valve in there opens, the water pump starts to run. This one's closed off, so the hose pipe isn't working at the moment, but this one is now pumping, and that comes out here to the garden beds, where just last week I attached all of this black pipe, and down each garden bed there's 3 runs of black pipe, and on each black pipe there's, I think, 11 of the little dripper units. So these drip And I worked out I've got 100 dripper units across the whole of the 3 garden beds, and they release a set amount of water, and that works out almost exactly the same as the amount of water the pump pumps. So it's a sort of balanced system whereby the water coming out at this end balances exactly the speed that the water pumps, so the pressure shouldn't get too high in here. You can hear it's pumping air out. I think the system drains back a little bit, so all these at the end are now starting to work as the air pumps out. The ground's very wet, so I'm going to turn this off in a minute, but these work automatically when there's no rain. And we're doing pretty well. The potatoes are looking a bit yellow. I think they've had so much water over the past couple of days. But a lot of the other plants coming on. Sprouts, cabbages, sweet potatoes, not radishes, beetroot, tomatoes, all sorts of things. So all of that operated by the sun. The water collects in the tank, panels collect the energy, save it in the battery runs the pump, everything working on solar, which is very satisfying. Okay, that's it for this update. See you later.